welcome to the Captain's Log, stardate 6/26/2024. My name is Danjevin. Today we're going to be talking about this Galaxy event coming up next weekend, about a week's time almost exactly, Weaving a Tale. There's 2 golds we get to earn from this event if we are competitive and if we are diligent. So we'll take a look at the stats on that. Also going to talk about a little bit of an update on the in-game news, including some of the errors and an interesting post that we saw from a member of Reddit that we'll show you. And finally, we're going to wind up with some Gauntlet tips. So leading into the Voyage events, a lot of players are curious if they can bring in Gauntlet-exclusive crew, just throw a bunch of equipment on top of them and get some max voyages. So we'll talk about, for the player who has an incomplete set of Gauntlet-exclusive crew, how to maximize those drops. But for now, let's take a look at the event rewards for this Galaxy event. So since this is a replay event, I think that's what they used to call these, all the purples are the same. So you're going to be earning the Preacher, Douglas Pabst Blue Ribbon. And at the very bottom here, we have an additional threshold reward. So this is Knight Riding Benny Russell. We'll review him briefly. But first, we're going to have to talk about the Man of the Hour. I guess it's James for June. James is June. It's another James Cromwell card. It's the second one in this month. Here we have him in a Doctor Cochrane persona. When I first saw this, I thought this was a Timelines exclusive. I guess it was taken from a reference photo in Star Trek Enterprise. So it's, I guess it's not an original. It's part of canon, so there you go. But all the same, this crew has got a really interesting skill set. It's a Psi-Eng command, which we've seen, and we'll show you how that adds up on the big book in a second. But I do want to show you the collections here. 1, 2, 3, 4 full stat boosting collections plus the Enterprise collection. So really kind of an interesting crew for what would normally be kind of a ho-hum week after the mega is done. So I expect to see a little bit of competition here. Let's jump on over to the big book and let's see what Dr. Cochrane looks like. Tier 3 to start. And this is interesting too because we have some kind of middling abilities here. We've got collection number 80, top 100 there. Ship ability right on the button, number 100. A little bit of shuttle for a little bit on the low side as far as current side numbers are, but certainly we'll pilot some shuttles. But top 100 Voyager here, and this gentleman will punch above his weight too, just because of the skill set. And let's jump on down and take a look at this Voyage skill set here. Let's look at the exact order for Psi-Eng command here. And so we are reaching back about 2 years to Ron Tarka. And then some really awful old crew here. So he is certainly refreshing this exact order skill set. I do want to look at the Psi-Eng specifically. We've got a campaign crew and Caretaker Torres, and then reaching back to some event crew. And then our other giveaway from like 6 or 7 months ago, Exo Archaeologist Mariner. So Dr. Cochrane is worth pushing a little bit for. I wouldn't go crazy on this Galaxy event personally, but if you can find an easy way to drop into the top 1500 and earn your first copy, just having him around I think is going to be fine. He's not a great event crew. We're not going to see a whole lot of Dr. Cochrane events, but just keep him around, and if you can earn more than 1 star, then I think you'll be doing well for yourself. A couple of notes here on Knight Riding Benny Russell. So here we get a free copy, so if you've already have him on your roster in some iteration of stars, actually he's already in the portal, so you may have retrieved him or gotten him out of a pack, as well as winning him from his first event, the first run of this event. But the crew has not aged well, so we're looking here a little smaller. We got a tier 6 on our hands, and if we thought Dr. Cochrane's abilities were a little bit mid, then that strictly puts Benny on the low side. A really tough collection score. Look at this, number 232 in collections. I believe all 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of those collections are already realized. Yep, they sure are. And then on top of that, I don't believe we'll be seeing a human or civilian collection anytime soon. So this crew is going to be, kind of dead weight in your roster, to be honest. For the players that earn him and then airlock him, it seems like an expensive way to go an extra 50,000 VP just for the 550 honor. So I'm not sure that this is really going to lure a whole lot of players to going that extra threshold this month. It's just, even though it does count as a Cisco variant, I'm just not seeing a whole lot of strength here to make it worthwhile. And I certainly wouldn't be wasting, in addition to the 1 star you get here, 4 additional retrievals to finish him off. The 4 collections is fine, but man, that's a long way to go for absolutely no additional benefit. This gentleman is just not playing a role in anybody's roster. Let's jump back over to the game. We're going to take a quick look at some of the updates we've received in our inbox here. So we've had a few glitches and errors over the past day or so, and this email helps to clarify a little bit. So there were issues with ship schematics being multiplied, but also something I wasn't aware of until this email was voyage errors allowing to send voyages with less crew. Not sure why you'd want to do that unless you were just starting out, but yeah, I did not hear about that at all. So yeah, rule number one of you know, sending out this sort of notification is try not to admit to more than the public generally knows about, because it's not a good look. The other thing that we found that was really interesting to me was on Reddit here. This player, WorldLine42, has posted a little bit of a video here I'll play for you with a commentary while it's playing here. It says, I purchased twice the crew. I guess that's the double your crew pop-up upon getting a first arena behold. Didn't get it. Emailed support, and this was the fix. So what it looks like here is that support had issued an in-game push to help this player out and give them their extra copy of Omet'iklan that they were due. And due to the fact that the schematics were doubling on a periodic basis and other items apparently may also have been doubling, now this this poor customer has 63 copies of Omet'iklan. So, I mean, I guess they could take the low road and make 4 fully fused copies and throw them on their bridge and swag it out. But I think they've done the right thing here by stopping their play entirely, contacting client support and asking them to make it right. So anyways, thank you for posting, WorldLine42. This has been interesting to see your dilemma, and I hope that customer service got you wrapped up okay. I think if they were going to do the right thing, they'd just say, here, just airlock all the additional copies you don't want, take the honor as our, you know, thank you for reporting this to us. And it seems like they've been able to fix all the double drops and multiple drops in-game, so hopefully it's the last time we'll see that one. A little other bookkeeping note here and a big piece of news. Save your schematics. So we're at the end of the month here. It's 6/26. So the next 3 days, or the last 3 days of the month, for anybody, speaking of glitches, who have a maxed out Serene Squall now or a maxed out Borg Sphere 878 and are excited to get the next in-game schematic drops for the following month, an interesting little technique that I learned quite some time ago is you can kind of preview what the next month's ship is going to be by going into leaderboards and rewards and fast forwarding here. So we've coming up on the IKS Tong, which is a fantastic ship, excellent arena attack ship, and I've seen some people post some really remarkable numbers in fleet boss battles as well with this schematic. If you are not maxed out, it's not available on Dabo. It's a premium ship. When you have your in-game mail that drops your Serene Squall schematics, and if you have maxed that ship out, leave them in your inbox. Over the next 3 days, at some point close to the cutoff, there'll be a manual changeover that happens in the game where all the schematics alter themselves and morph into whatever the next month's drop will be. So for the 4-star ship, let's see what that will turn into. July is going to be the Dove. Okay, so not as exciting there, but certainly the IKS Tong is going to be a nice one. So leave those mails uncollected. I know it's difficult. You want to click that collect button whenever you see it, but at least for the next 3 days, leave them there. If they're about to expire, you can pick them up if you care. Just get a little extra replication fodder. But otherwise, you may have a nice little windfall of a few hundred extra IKS Tong schematics in a few days. One other note here. So as we transition into our beginner gauntlet discussion, I'll note here that the Gauntlet crew for Omet'iklan here has been in the game for about 4 months now, and I have some information that it is due for changeover anytime between the next 2 and 4 weeks. So this is your last chance to get your omelette du fromage, to get your, they're going to 86 the omelets. How many other stupid puns can I make of this name? Get your Omet'Iklans, get into the gauntlet, even if you don't typically compete for it, it's time, because you may lose your chance, and he is just a powerhouse crew. He's one of those crews that's hard to find a substitute for just with his skill set, so it's certainly worth fighting for that. I don't think that he's going to be particularly playable for the Voyage events coming up. His core stats are just so low, but certainly for your competition and being able to level up your gauntlet, you can't find much of a better crew. He's #1 for gauntlet use. So speaking of, let's talk a little bit about the gauntlet here. So if we are going to kind of break into the gauntlet, what tips are good for making sure that we can consistently get some chances, at least, at getting those Gauntlet exclusive drops? One of the most frustrating things of the game is that the Gauntlet exclusive drops really dominate the top levels of play. So let's take a look here at ratings for Gauntlet. And on the first page here, we've got the top 5 spots are all Gauntlet exclusive. And then let's reach down to the next 5. We have the Fleet Boss Battle exclusive Frantic McCoy. So there's a little bit of a break here, but then right back to the exclusives. 1, 2, 3, 4 more. We have to dig all the way into the second page to find non-portal Sysmana T'Pol, who would be retrievable hopefully soon, but probably in the next 6 months after the following portal update. And then we finally start to see our first retrievables here in the second page. So if we were going to break into it, it's really tough when you're fighting against walls of all these exclusive crew that are locked behind either RNG or in other in-game modes. If you're not in a great fleet, it's going to be real tough to get that Frantic McCoy. So how do we break into it? So my first tip is, and we talked about these crew the other day in our Voyage coverage, the Gary 7 and also Dexa, who doesn't appear on the front page, but again punches above her weight due to her skill set. I would make your next 2 retrieves that you can earn, Gary 7 and Dexa. They are still serviceable on voyages. They're not top tier, and if you're playing the game actively and collecting all the most recent crew as they come out, they're not going to fly for you. Except for in the new Voyage events, I expect they will. We even saw on Ben and Joe's stream, Gary 7 really being clutch for that boss battle against the ubiquitous Boar Queen. She's on page 4, but again, this is the Eng Med crew, and there's just so little, especially so little engineering in the Gauntlet realm, that she's just going to do so much for you. So these 2 crew, Dexa actually is still a decent Voyager as well. But they're going to be your great first entrance, and the reason why you need to have some crew that are at least partially attuned to getting into the Gauntlet is because you really need to start those 3 streaks. So 3 streaks will earn you a Gauntlet crate that lets you at least get 1 chance at pulling the Gauntlet exclusive crew. Now typically they're only going to give you maybe trainers or chronotons. You can also get some components. So they're not the end-all be-all for what you can earn, but they do give you a very low % chance of getting your Gauntlet Behold, your Gauntlet exclusive crew Behold. So this small Gauntlet box is what you'll earn after your first 3 streak. But these Gauntlet boxes, I believe, and this is completely just based on feel, but they probably have about a 1% chance of triggering that Behold. So the more of these that you can get, you're just adding up your percentages over time. And that kind of rolls us into our second tip is, make sure that you play consistently. Set a timer. Make sure that you use your energy every 4 hours and use it up. Don't be afraid to break a streak. So the 3 streaks I mentioned because they're easy to get, and also, it's kind of tough, especially with a beginner Gauntlet roster, to really push much further than that. Although as you go deeper into your streaks, you're going to earn some higher level Gauntlet chests. It seems that they only marginally increase your chance of Behold. Even people who finish in first place and get 7 of these huge Gauntlet vault crates at the top here, more often than not tend not to get a Behold chance. Certainly you can earn way more of the small Gauntlet boxes throughout the course of your play. So I think that's the way to go, especially for newer players. If you are about to hit a 3 streak and you've pulled some really awful opponents, it just looks like there's no way you're going to possibly be able to win, don't be afraid to spend some merits, and that's my third tip here. Merits are well spent in other areas of the game, but I think best spent if you still need Gauntlet exclusive crew by just doing some refreshes here. So as we fight in these Gauntlet battles, we have the ability to refresh for 50 merits. So what else do we spend merits on? We spend them on faction transmissions so we can run more shuttles. That's fine and that's fair. And when you've maxed out your shuttles, you actually get a pretty good payback. I think it's 75 merits for 8 transmissions. That's 8 full shuttles you can run. But there's only so many of those you can push out in a day. So eventually you start to accumulate surplus merits. And when you do, you may be tempted to pull on the crew pack that's in the time portal here. These crew packs are, they call them merit rewards, and they have a pretty even distribution between the different crew types here. I've found, especially for a mid-game roster who's struggling with roster space, that this can be a trap. These merit rewards do not trigger Beholds. You don't get your choice of the crew that you get, and especially if you haven't gone over the hump of freezing and immortalizing more purples than you actually need to finish. I think that it tends to add to the clutter. You may think that, hey, I can just get lucky and finish off some of the crew, maybe get a star that I need. But unless you're over that hump, you're going to find that it's actually going to make the problem worse. You may have to wind up airlocking crew that you just pulled from the merit rewards. So I think this tends to be either just a last-minute choice for getting some honor at the honor sale to get over the next threshold for a Sight plus Behold, or really just for endgame players to vent their merits and get a whole bunch of honor at once. So I think that the Gauntlet winds up being a fantastic use, using the refresh to take some really bad matchups, and make them into a little bit easier ones for yourself and extend those 3 streaks, especially if you're on the second of 3 and you can you have a chance of making that 3 streak. Go ahead and refresh once, twice, even 3 times. Just be careful. If all of your crew are exhausted, if they've all played 2 and 3 matches, you're probably not going to find a match you can win, so just be careful about doing it too much. The final tip, and this is probably the best one here, is you can actually choose your competition in a different way just by when you start your gauntlet. A lot of people would like to start the gauntlet right after changeover. For Eastern time here in the US, that's at 8 p.m. currently. For players that are starting their gauntlet right away, immediately after this rollover, they might find some hard competition. Really strongly equipped gauntleteers are in there, and it may be kind of a tough, you're going to see walls of the Gauntlet exclusives as you run into them. It's a tough time to join. I personally find the sweet spot for my own play is to join the following morning. I like to just consider all that time the prior evening a lost cause, because I actually get much better streaks when I have an easier bracket of 150 players that generally tend to compete at a lower level. They're not the hardest trying of the tryhards. So hopefully these gauntlet tips will get you on board, get you earning a couple of gauntlet crates. If you received a gauntlet behold, let me know what you got. I hope these tips helped you. We're going to talk a little bit higher level strategy, how to actually allocate your crew for the gauntlet, what's the best way to use the big book to help you with that on a future cast. But for today, that's all I got for you, so live long and prosper.